So Elon Musk, I'm increasingly convinced that corporate ESG is the devil incarnate. This is really good news. There are some people that are now big players that are starting to talk about this as a reality. I mean, there is such a disconnect. Anyone who tells you this is not what's going on, it's no longer Glenn Beck's crazy theory and Glenn Beck's crazy book. There are so many people, and for instance, NYU professor of finance, Aswath, Damaran, has been writing about ESG. Listen to what he said. When I first wrote about ESG 2 years ago, I did so because I was skeptical of the unquestioning belief that people had in its success. Amen. This is one of the things that really bothers me about this, is everybody is just so convinced that this is all going to work. When they're talking about, when I first read the World Economic Forum website and they were unveiling all of their plans, when I got to the food thing, I realized these people are criminally insane. They are criminally insane. You're going to take 10,000 years of farming and flush it down the toilet and come up with a new system of farming, literally from seed to plate. And you're going to do that in 8 years? Really? Wow. That's not criminally insane or criminally arrogant at all. Anyway, he said, I initially believed that it was a flawed concept that needed fixing. But after 2 years of interactions with people who claim to know the concept really well, but don't seem capable of making solid cases for it, and witnessing its takeover by well-heeled entities with agendas, I'm convinced that there will soon be room for only two types of people in the ESG space. The first will be the useful idiots, well-meaning individuals who believe that they are advancing the cause of goodness as they toil in the trenches of ESG measurement services, ESG arms of consulting firms, and ESG investment funds. The second will be the feckless knaves who know fully well the void behind the concept, but see an opportunity to make money. I know those are not edifying choices, but I don't see any good ones other than leaving the ESG space completely. Good luck. That's pretty damning. Now, let's couple this to the real world. CNBC has just run an op-ed. A new world order is emerging, and the world is not ready for it. This is written by the chief executive officer of the Atlantic Council. And so, somebody who was like, yay, world order. But he says that we're not ready for it at all. He said, are we ready for the new world order? That's the provocative title of the panel that led off the ambitiously named World Government Summit last week. And it was framed to suggest that a new world order is emerging and the world's not ready for it. There has been a proliferation of writing about who will shape the future world order since Vladimir Putin launched his invasion in Ukraine. The tempting conclusion, should Ukraine survive as an independent, sovereign, and democratic country, the U.S. and Europe-backed forces will regain momentum against the previously ascendant Russian-Chinese forces of authoritarianism, oppression, and, in at least Putin's case, evil. I think we can say that about China, too. Can we pony up maybe to the big boy table just for a second and say, yeah, I think we can call the regime in China evil. Sounds like good news, but there's a downside. My conversations in Dubai at the World Government Summit and the Atlantic Council's Global Energy Forum show little enthusiasm or conviction for this bifurcated vision of the future. The Middle Eastern participants have no interest in abandoning relations with China, the leading trading partner for Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, or breaking with Russia, which established itself as a force to be reckoned with when it saved Syrian President Bashar al-Assad through its military intervention in its war. Beyond that, our Middle East partners have lost confidence in America's commitment to global leadership or confidence following last year's botched Afghanistan withdrawal. They're also experiencing whiplash from the Trump administration that trashed the nuclear deal with Iran to Biden's administration, which they feel is pursuing it without sufficiently factoring in Tehran's regional aggression. In all my many years in the Middle East over the years, I have never heard this level of frustration from Mideast government officials with American policymakers. So he goes on to talk about how there have been now 3 attempts to organize the world. And he said it was the Treaty of Versailles and the League of Nations, which got into European fascism and everything else. Then World War II. And you had the Marshall Plan and Bretton Woods. Then you had the third effort, he says, is the Cold War ending, where it became a unipolar world. And now it's this one. Now, I can't take any more people saying this is, a hoax. It's not really happening. Why would you why are all of the biggest magazines, think tanks, scholars, all talking about this, including our president, saying that there is a new world order? You must break out of the box of your thinking. This is happening. Now, how it happens, I don't know. But one of the things that is happening is Russia and China are trying to collapse our dollar because we're trying to collapse Russia. So what did Russia do this weekend? Russia, the Bank of Russia, has resumed gold purchases. More importantly, they are now fixing the ruble, 5,000 rubles per 1 gram of gold. So they're on a quasi-gold standard now. If they attach a gold standard to the rubles, this is what the Bank of Russia is now doing. If they've already said we're going to shut down all oil and gas exports unless you buy it in rubles. Well, nobody wants rubles. They knew that. So now Russia has said we're on a gold standard. Now, it's not exactly that, but it's close enough. So you can take gold and send it to Russia. They'll give you the rubles. You buy the oil. You give the rubles back. They're stocking up on gold. This will be very, very bad for the United States. It'll be good, for gold prices, if you have that. Unfortunately, I don't think the United States has a lot of that. And will it work? Yes. Listen to this. This is from the CEO of BASF, which I'm not sure what they make other than they're a petrochemical company. And it's, if you watch, remember the days when you used to watch Sunday morning TV shows on politics and it'd be like, BASF. We make everything you need. Okay, like what? Everything.
Were they the company that said, we make the things that you like better? So did they have a slogan like that? They don't make the things you need. They make the things you need better.
Yeah. So anyway, they make everything from, tape to styrofoam to, in this case, they make fertilizer as well. So he did the CEO just did an interview because they're talking about in Germany, what do we do without gas from Russia? And the new chancellor's like, don't worry about it. Just turn your temperature down by 2 degrees. It'll be fine. And BASF is like, that's a recipe for disaster. That's not going to work. He said, we could be energy independent maybe in 5 years, but if they shut things down, Russia covers 55% of German natural gas. He said many, many things would collapse here. We'd have high levels of unemployment. Many companies would go bankrupt. It would lead to irreversible damage. It would put the German economy into its worst crisis since the Weimar Republic. Many small, medium-sized companies in particular, it would mean the end. We can't risk it. A delivery stop for a short time would perhaps open the eyes of many on both sides. It'd make clear the magnitude of the consequences. But if we don't get more Russian gas for a long time, we have a problem here in Germany. People often make no connection at all between a boycott and their own job, as if our economy and prosperity are set in stone. This is such an American problem. It will be a catastrophe, and we will feel it clearly next year more than this one, because most of the fertilizers that the farmers need this year has already been bought. In 2023, there will be a shortage, and poor countries in particular, for example, in Africa, will no longer be able to afford basic foodstuffs. This is a risk of famine. Okay. All right. Maybe we should think about the whole new global order thing a little differently. Maybe we should all sit down and have a chat together. I'm just saying. Now, let me give you two other things. In Ukraine, they can't even get the tractors out. This is plant, seeding time, field seeding time. And they can't even get the tractors out because of the drones up in the air. The farmers are like, I'd rather not get blown off my tractor by a bomb. And so they're not planting the fields. They say it could go down as much as 20% of the usual output. That might be a problem. They can't get the fertilizers. They can't get the fertilizer in China. In fact, China is only going to produce about 40% of what it normally does. And the good news, Texas, Kansas, North Dakota, Oklahoma, New York are showing the largest decreases in overall cropland this year. They are planning on, in just those 5 states, planning on decreasing the plantings only by almost 2 million acres. So that's not going to be a problem. They are growing more soybeans, but about 40% less corn. So we can have soy. And that soy sauce, let me tell you something. That soy sauce never goes bad. I have soy sauce in my refrigerator, like right next to the butter tray. It's fantastic. I've got like a year's supply. Well, at this rate, now it'll change if we all get hungry, but at this rate, I have a lifetime supply of soy sauce, and it never goes bad.
Are they planting enough ducks for duck sauce? Because I don't know.
I'm not.
I'm concerned about that one.
Yeah,
There's a duck sauce shortage
that one
coming.
goes a lot faster.
Yeah.